Good afternoon, it's Crystal at the Rain Dance Ranch again. So today I want to talk about petunias. I really love these. They just grow so great in Phoenix all winter long, and I mean, they're just one of those good old gotta have them kind of staple awesomeness things that you could put in your yard. Woo. And if you notice, this is I love these red ones. Like, look at the form on them and how big they are. And then I got these over here that look red. They were supposed to be coral, and they're kind of small. And I certainly don't hate them or anything, but I think if I'm going to be buying these and growing them, I think I might like these better. But, and then I am going to continue to be on the search for some nice sort of coral, salmon-y, kind of orangey looking petunias. So I'll be trying some different seeds. See if I can get that. So yeah, here's more of those red ones that were supposed to be. They were called coral, but they look red. They don't really look coral to me. Maybe they will change over time. But the one thing I'm really happy about is that these are 6 weeks old, and they have been surviving in these little grow pods, and I would like to be able to sell these every year or periodically throughout the year in those grow pods to people. And at this stage, like, this is the time when the nurseries are getting top dollar retail prices for their petunias when they're at this stage, which is 6 weeks. I'm not sure what the seed packets say. I read the seed packets and go, oh, this one says it needs 12 weeks. So obviously, before you grow it, before freeze, or before the last freeze date, packets will say grow 10 weeks before the last freeze date, grow 4 weeks, grow 10 weeks, whatever it is. And I don't recall what any of these petunias said. Here in the desert, I just find that a lot of the rules that apply everywhere else don't apply here. If you live in the desert, that's probably why you're watching this channel right now, because you want to know what other desert people are doing, because everything is just turned upside down. And then some things are essentially the same too, like certain bulbs. Maybe we will get bulbs to pop up out of the ground 2 weeks before everybody else around the world does or something. I have no idea. But essentially, there's only a few bulbs, from what I understand, that you can force to come up before their time. Like amaryllis, for example. A lot of people will force those in December. I'm just not thinking of any. I really don't know of an example, but we just have different times for everything. And some things may even be faster or slower, and they're really some things are dependent on the time of the year, and some things will just go year round as long as they have the right conditions. And petunias is one of those kind of plants that you can grow anytime, and they just look amazing. Tomatoes as well, you can grow them year round as long as you give them the environment they need. So, with all that said, I would say that any kind of plants that you can grow anywhere as long as you give them the right conditions, you could probably pretty much trust whatever the seed packet says. However, I still need to see these things for myself, and before I start selling these things, I want to grow them and know what I'm doing and know about the products. And also I'm going to be growing all of these in my pots throughout the winter and see how they do and all that as well. So when I start selling these again next year, I'll really be able to tell people, oh yeah, you'll be lucky if this one makes it past May 1st, or oh, this is a good one that's highly likely to live until June, you know, and that kind of thing. And then I'm going to bring them indoors or and put them in various different climate controlled areas, like in my summer greenhouse and, you know, in my grow room and inside, where I'm pretty sure they're going to do good. So I can then also advise people how to do that and see how they do. And maybe some won't perform, some will do better than others, who knows. I do know that these are awesome, and these are awesome. And these are also the kind that you don't need to deadhead. I mean, maybe if you had them in a high profile area, you might see a few flowers that have expired and you might want to just pull them off just for looks. But in terms of interfering with the growth of the plant, they just keep on blooming regardless of whether you deadhead them or not. Whereas these, you may need to be they may need to be deadheaded more often, and these as well. When you buy the seeds, when I bought these seeds, that's what they told me. When I bought these seeds, they didn't say that, but I've had these before, so we'll see. You know, that's the other thing I want to focus on too, is like easy petunias that don't need to be deadheaded, or, you know, so that's why I want to learn to grow them. So, I mean, if you're growing petunias, I highly recommend that you pick the ones you like. If you're growing petunias to sell, like I am, if you want to get into doing backyard nursery, try different ones and then grow them on. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious, like, do I really need to say it? But I highly recommend that if you're going to sell these things, that you don't just start them and then sell them all off. Like, save a few, let them grow, see how they do, so you can give people advice. And then you can see, maybe they're like really difficult to grow, or they don't look that good. You want to be able to sell the stuff that looks good and is easy for people to grow, so you can determine which ones those are, and you'll get, you know, you're more likely to get repeat customers. And if you can help them learn how to grow better, you know, that's what this business is all about, really, in my mind. The customers will keep coming back. So anyway, so yeah, 6 weeks seems to be good, because these have been blooming for the last couple days, but this is like full-on bloom, and in another couple days, some of these other ones, I'm going to be able to see what color these are, because these are all different colors right here, so I don't know which one's going to be which. I do know that these are going to all be these coral ones, and these pinks are mixed up, and there's a red in there. These are, well, this whole section is mixed up right now. But the other thing I want to do next year, though, I got really lucky because I started these exactly 6 weeks ago, and it was just the right time for these to be ready to sell in these little pods. But next year, or actually, I'm going to start doing this now, but I want to start next, probably mid-July to the end of July. Sometime in the last couple of weeks of July, I want to start planting my petunias and other annuals to put in pre-designed containers. And so when I plant them up, they'll look a little something like this at first, right? Because I just did these like last week. And you can see, like, that one nothing's, those are not growing very fast. I think those are perennial type flowers, and those tend to grow slower than the annuals. But this one's filled with annuals and it's getting filled in, and same thing here. So I want to be able to make, you know, potted arrangements, and then by kabloom day, I want them to be filled out and established and in full bloom. So come the last week of October, I can have however many I can get done. You know, I'm shooting for 20, maybe more, just to get started with this. I'd like to do 20 containers, at least this size, maybe some that size, and then maybe even more containers, like I would say medium to large containers, 20 of those, and then probably a handful of some little ones with succulents and stuff, but that's not annuals. But yeah, I want the annuals, and then I want them to all be grown out and blooming and have these petunias in them and anything else that can bloom, like the alyssum. Now the alyssum, it may grow on, but it might not be blooming profusely because they really like it when it cools off. So even if I had planted this pot a month ago, I don't know if that alyssum would be blooming more. It might have a lot of green on it and it would be ready to take off, and it would probably look a little something like that, maybe a few more flowers, but it won't be like that blanket of snow look that it is known for. I don't know. But yeah, that likes cooler weather typically. So yeah, so next year I am gonna start my seeds in July and have some of these ready to go, and then mid-August will be when I do my starts that I'm just gonna sell as plant starts for people. So I'll have plant starts and ready to go containers with blooming, beautiful blooming flowers. That is the plan. So if you are living in the desert and you want to be start a backyard nursery and you want to grow petunias, start sometime in the last week of July indoors with lights. Start your petunia seeds if you want to do any kind of bigger containers. But if all you want to do is these starts like this, start 6 weeks ahead of your first cold snap. For us, our first cold snap is the end of the first week in October. And so maybe if you live in Palm Springs, your first cold snap was last week. I don't know. So just go 6 weeks before your first cold snap. And oh, the other thing I wanted to say about the petunias is when they're young, you want to trim them back at some point. See, like, I'm going to tell the people, whoever buys these, I'm like, as hard as it is, as soon as you get these home, trim them back, because then they bush out much more nicely. I don't know if you've ever seen petunias. They kind of get lanky and leggy, and they're not like all filled in with flowers, and there's like sort of like bare spots and things like that. That's because they need to be trimmed in the early stages. I did not do that because I really wanted to get the flowers to bloom so people could see them. And next, in a couple days, I'm going to be going to an event, and I'm going to be giving away one of my kabloom baskets. It's kind of like something that I'm going to be doing seasonally, where I have an offering of a bunch of different plant starts, and you can get like a double size, and it'll come in a crate like this, and it'll just be filled with plants. Something like this might be $50 to $75, depends on what's in it, and it might have to be $75. And then I have like baskets like this. I know I talked about it on another video. It's maybe a smaller basket, like about that size, which is like a little, not the size of a large shoebox. And something like that might be like $25. And I could get quite a bit of plant starts in there. And then all of these will include my biochar products and maybe samples from companies. I made a video about it. But how pretty will that look? Filled up with flowers. With those petunias. Just love them. All right. So, thanks for stopping by. Oh, you know what? I made progress. I really wasn't going to talk about this until I got more done, but I just have to show this off. There's a lot of things that you wouldn't even know I did, like I spread a bunch of rock around, but you really can't hardly tell. I mean, I can. This whole area right here was bare, and it does need to be cleaned up because I've been moving stuff around on it, but I got a new setup here. It's not all the way set up, and I might move it back a little. It's going to be probably need a little adjusting, but last year I used these chairs as like props for plants, and those are all like my little doodads that I used. And so after Saturday I'm going to start putting plants out here again. So this is sort of like my potted plant display area, and I'm probably going to put my tabuli tower out here, right smack dab in the middle of this thing, this table. And I like them right here because it kind of masks all the stuff I got going on back here, which does not look real great when there's no plants in them. I think even when there's plants in them, this is where I like to keep my water barrels. So I collect water in these out of my downspout, and I just love this, having this here, and then when I need to water over here, I can just get my watering can, scoop it out, water away. I love it. I really hate battling a hose, and I really like using rainwater. But there's going to be times where I'm dry. I don't really have the best rainwater collection system. It's very limited in terms of how much water I can collect. So when I'm out of rainwater, I will be just putting tap water or hose water in there, and I'm probably going to add like some vitamin C in there, maybe some other things to help neutralize the chloramine, and I'll probably leave it open for a day in case it's chlorinated, and so the chlorine can gas off. I don't know if I have chloramine or chlorine, but I'm trying to encourage healthy living, happy soil, and everybody seems very concerned about putting chlorinated water into your soil because it's sort of like an antibiotic, and you don't really want that in your soil. But when you need water, and if you don't have those resources, I mean, obviously just go for it. Just do the best you can. I think that life has a way of persisting despite the efforts of the mad scientists. and I say that because, and I know, don't hate me for this, but I have Roundup. The only thing I use Roundup for is in my driveway I have Bermuda grass growing through the cracks. And so I have sprayed that several times, and the grass just keeps on growing despite the fact that it's been sprayed with Roundup. So I'm just saying. And again, I don't use it anywhere else. That is the only time I ever use Roundup, and it was just the only one handy when I was at Home Depot. It was right there by the cash register, and I was like, oh God, I need that for those grass spots. And I'd been putting it off, and I was going to try to find something else, but I've tried some of those organic weed killer things. It does not work on Bermuda, and it's going to take a few applications. That Bermuda grass just does not want to die. It's like the Wolverine of the plant world. Okay, so enough about that. This is not really like my final setup. I am thinking that I would like to move this back now because I put these here. I'm just kind of trying to figure out exactly where I want to place these, because I like where this is, and I want to try to have these bins go back another 3 bins that way, 3 bins that way. Maybe, I don't know. But at least I want to have the 3, and possibly a 3rd row this way, or I'm going to extend these rows for 2 long rows, which is really what I want to do, is 2 long rows. And so then in front of each row is the water tanks. And I don't necessarily need a wide gap here, but I mean, there's no reason I can't come here, but I just think it would be a little more comfortable to move it back. And so I am going to move this back a little bit, and that one forward maybe 2 or 3 inches. Although that is kind of a nice, comfortable opening right there. I may leave that in that location, but move it closer, move it over this way. But yeah, and then I put some holes in those because I didn't have holes in. I mean, I've been getting stuff done that you can't even tell. Like, I know you're probably looking at it going, that place is still a wreck. I'm like, I know. It's a wreck. And it's just constant effort, and it gets messy when you're rearranging everything. It's like, and it's hot. It's still hot. I'm like sweating big time. And I mean, it's cloudy. I don't get it. 2 or 3 more days, it's gonna be cool. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. When it rains, go out and dance.